Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, Tank12, however you want to call me, I don't really care. And welcome back to Wall of Tanks. I'm not sure when I'm going to be releasing this video, I just wanted to talk about this topic about generally grinding and, stock vehicles in Wall of Tanks and just the state of some of the vehicles in 2019. Now, if you're looking at my garage right here, I have about 194 tanks in my garage. I never get to play all of them. Like most of the time, I just play a very selected few vehicles that I want to grind, get to the next level, and a lot of times I kind of completely miss playing my tier 10s. Now I know when you're playing this game, basically what you're trying to do when you're playing a video game is you're trying to have fun, right? You can see I have quite a few tier 10s. It goes quite a way down, but a lot of cases, except for the American ones and some of the very older tier 10s that I used to play very religiously, I haven't really played that many other tier 10s. Like, for example, the Panzerkampfwagen 7, only 2 battles in that, or the Leopard 1, only 35 games in that. That is also a very different kind of tier 10. I did enjoy it at the beginning, very, very much so, but especially if you have a bad team, this vehicle is just a very painful tier 10 medium tank to be playing. To be played basically. So what you can see right here is I have quite a few vehicles, right, that I'm currently grinding, quite a few lines. For example, I'm on the Waffenträger line. I want to get the Grille 15. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to get the Waffenträger of E100 back in the days, but that doesn't really matter. So the Grille 15 or the RHM Borsig, to be fair, this grind was not that particularly terrible. I mean, this vehicle only has a tier 5 engine that costs you 1,000 experience, a couple of one track, and then you have a 15 centimeter gun, which you don't really need, right? So I would not suggest that this is a terrible grind, no. Not even close. So what I've noticed is that in the recent iterations of vehicles that Wargaming have basically brought out and released to the broad public, there are some vehicles, and that one line in particular that is absolutely horrible to grind, and it's no fun to try to go through that line of vehicles, and it's one of the reasons why I've held it off for so long. Actually, it's not even that long. That line hasn't been around for very long. And what I'm talking about is the Polish tanks. The very recent released nation in the game, like the newest nation, and it's the Poles. Now, basically, obviously, all these vehicles are up till tier, like let's say to tier 4 they were produced or they were planned, and from tier 5 to tier 10 they were all basically kind of just blueprints or even just ideas that one guy had, so they never really existed. So it's basically all fictional, very much so as a lot of other vehicles in the game. But what I've noticed is when I started playing the 40 TP, I noticed that this is actually the worst tier 6 medium tank I've ever played. This is the worst tier 6 tank I've ever played in my life. I played it in stock. I played it with the terrible 75mm gun, and what this vehicle lacks is basically mobility. It's coupled with terrible armor, a terrible gun. You have a 90mm gun, which at tier 6, obviously, I mean, the people at tier 6 do have 90mm guns from a lot of nations, but at the same time, this was just such a horrible vehicle, especially if you got into a tier 8 matchup. What I've noticed is it was so painful to grind through that. Then when I finally got through it and I kind of skipped it, I decided to get myself the 45 TP, and I've been playing this vehicle for a few games now, and it's just total bullshit. I hate this tank. At least I hate its current composition. Now, when you're looking into the modules that you're having, you can see you have a freaking 45 TP turret that you have to unlock, 11,000 experience, 16,800 experience for the top engine, then another 9,000 experience for the tracks, which I mean already racks up to 37,000. Then additionally with the gun that is 105mm Bofors gun, it's gonna cost you together about over 50,000 credit experience to get this tank fully upgraded, right? And to have the patience to get to this fully upgraded vehicle is basically the plan of wargaming. And I've noticed that in the recent times, they have really tried to make the grind horrible, or just as horrible as it can be, because this is how wargaming makes money. They make money by selling you premium time, by selling you golds, by selling you vehicles and all that stuff. And you can see I am no stranger to that. I have 97,000 gold, and this gold comes from the boxes, right? I got a couple of lucky draws, but I mean, everyone can spend their money how they want to. But it's basically the idea of wargaming. Well, if you want to have a very nice time with every vehicle, you'll have to spend money. So they're trying to sell us that the grind is the fun part of this game, and I can say for certain that the grind, at least for some of the vehicles, is a terrible way, as a horrible disgrace of fun, and is one of the reasons why people are leaving this game. Now, I'm not saying that we should make the grinding aspect a lot easier for every vehicle. I'm not saying that we should make everything available straight from the get-go, because a lot of people that have grind their way through with a bit of pride, they went through that horrible vehicle or whatever, those people will feel cheated, right? And I think, yeah, the grind should be there. There should be some kind of grind, just a little bit, so that you have the feeling of completion, that you've achieved something. And it doesn't have to be, it just doesn't have to be one of those grinds where you end up, getting frustrated. That's the problem. You don't want to be frustrated in grinding those vehicles. And I mean, the very best example that I have is just the Polish tech tree. It's just so terrible to be playing. I don't enjoy it, and I do not want to spend my free experience that I have amassed on top there. I don't want to spend it on any of this because I want to have the full experience with this vehicle, and it sucks, right? So the thing is, when you're playing as a free-to-play player, and you're kind of getting into this game, and maybe you've just come back because one of the patches dropped, and you think, whoa, great, it looks amazing, maybe 1.0 has gotten you back, and then you're met with this huge change of new rosters, new vehicles, changes to the tech tree, vehicles that have been rebalanced and placed in other kind of sections, and all that stuff. It's already quite confusing for new players, because I've recently just talked to a guy who returned, and he was like super confused that there were new Soviet tier 10s. And obviously, I mean, it's new content, and someone who has not been playing, yeah, it's going to be confusing, but that's not a bad thing, right? The thing is just, if it gets so overwhelmingly frustrating, so annoying to grind these vehicles, that you just don't want to do it anymore, and you're kind of stuck on it because you don't want to pay for this game, or you don't want to pay another $50 to be able to get through, it just doesn't really help you. The thing is, I've noticed when you're losing a game, if we take a closer look, you almost make no experience, right? I mean, I have a premium account. I'm not running any boosters right now, but if I would be running boosters, I would have a much better time. But if you take a look at that, like 462 experience for a loss, where you might have done the most damage of your team at the lowest, like being the lowest tier, and you kind of do the almost the same damage as a tier 8 and tier 9 vehicle, and you only end up with basically like 400 experience. It's going to take you a very long time to get something fully equipped, right? And that frustration kind of couples together, and it gets really ugly. That's one of the reasons why people are so pissed when they're playing this game. When somebody messes up, they get really pissed because, well, basically, you're only going to be moving forward if you do great, if you win the match. And that's basically, well, a lot of times you only do great and lose. Sometimes you win and you do terribly, so your 4 times is going to be like, I don't know, 1,000 experience instead of the 5k it could have been. And I know it kind of is frustrating, that sort of thing. So I want to be a constructive World of Tanks YouTuber, whatever player. I don't want to be the one guy who's constantly telling negative stuff about this game and going on and on and on and on about how shitty this game is, but I'm still playing it. I want to be constructive about it. And so what I can see is wargaming, what they should be doing is, especially for some of the very annoying grinds, they should be cutting back on some of the modules maybe. For example, this engine, give it out for maybe half the price or even less, or just make it easier to grind these turrets right here. And what I've noticed is just players that sometimes are playing vehicles that they have no idea about, places that they go to. And it's just a lot of things is still going back to, fundamentally not understanding some basic game mechanics, and that's going to be another part. Wargaming have taken some very big steps in the direction of, trying to give you a kind of a rundown in the training center or the boot camp, and you can get the attacking basics and the all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I think a lot of people still haven't gotten to them, and it's a lot easier to reach people with video evidence. And now I don't want to say I'm like the best source for something like that. I'm not the best player. I'm not the most skilled one out there, but I can definitely say I have some experience with playing this game. So basically, what needs to be done in a lot of sense is people need to be less frustrated with this game. And how are you going to achieve that? Maybe by, changing the negative effects on your experience boosts when you're kind of losing, that people get more experience even though they lose. But the thing is, the problem, there's always going to be a problem with every change that you're going to be making. There's going to be an issue that will come with that directly involved. Because if you think about it, if you get like crazy amount of experience at the same time when you're losing, people would just not care about winning anymore. They wouldn't play the objective, right? We only have like one game mode at the moment that everyone is really playing. It's just the bases, destroy each other, capture the base, assault and encounter, basically the same, just with one base or whatever. And we didn't have any kind of new game mode there. But what you can just see is that the entire economy of this game is kind of directed towards being rather frustrating if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't really pay any money, and it's gotta be really tough. I mean, the very first 16,000 games I played without any premium kind of vehicles and stuff like that, so that wasn't a very funny time, but somehow I still kept around. I don't know why, but the game kind of grasped me. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. It's just a very short video. Yeah, whatever. It's probably 10 minutes, but still, I just want to talk about a little bit of the grinding aspect in the game and how the Polish tech tree is horrible to grind. It's just absolutely no fun. I thought about just quitting the Polish tech tree for the moment because I know that the 53 TP, although the fully fleshed out vehicle is supposed to be quite a lot of fun, it's horrible. And then the 50 TP, you still have to grind like the Top Gun, and then the 60 TP is actually the one thing everyone wants to get. But that's the thing, right? Maybe it's just our focus is too much set on the tier 10 vehicles, that it's supposed to be the big goal, and the tier 10 is about everything. And we kind of miss that maybe some of these vehicles at lower tiers, at tier 7, tier 8, are going to be fun as well. Best example for me is probably one of the vehicles I've kept around for a very long time and still play is the T54. I know it's close to tier 10, but that thing was just so much fun. I kept it around. I have like 3 marks of excellence on it, and it's still one of the best medium tanks I've ever played. So yeah, I still enjoy it. Still have it in my garage for 20 games. And yeah, okay, holy shit. Marks of excellence have dropped a little bit, but still 3 marks. And since then, I haven't really been that active in it. But I think you guys get the gist of it. So I'm just going to end it here before it's going to delve into a lot worse monologuing. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Up until then, peace out.